Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7OTC.
Alright, this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and we're back to our normal format. And I have one of our guests, regular guests, Rex VK7 Mike Oscar. So good evening, Rex.
Thank you, Justin.
We've got a bit of a focus tonight on 122 gigahertz. There has been some kits become available, and some work, actually quite a lot of work being done in Australia around this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is emanating out of both VK3 and VK5.
And VK2's doing all the work.
And VK2's doing all the work. So, okay. So what we thought is we'd give you a bit of a view of some of this work, because Rex has actually received his VK3/VK2 kits.
Yes.
And so what experimentation at I think I worked out it's 2.5 millimeter band. I think it was something like that. I think I worked out.
That's probably right, because 10 gigs is 3 centimeters. So yes, you'd be. Yeah,
it's about 2.5 millimeters.
Yes.
So the micromillimeter bands. So
yeah.
So Rex, take us through what we're looking at here.
Okay. Do we put this over there and magnify it up or something?
We can. If we head to what can we do here? Let's try that. Okay. Now, and that's what we're looking at. We'll zoom in here.
Right. Now I might have to point to some things.
Okay. Do you want me to?
Yes, if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the board which is based on the VK3 CV design. In fact, it's his board design, but it was all put together as a bulk by manufacturer by VK2. I think it's XA.
TXT. Yeah.
Or was it XAT? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Tim, anyway.
Tim. TXT.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, in the middle is the key to all this. That device there is a little chip which is designed for radar distance measuring for vehicles.
Yep.
At around 122 gigs, and VK3CV and other hams have been able to get hold of these chips and convert them for the ham band. Well, not convert the chip for the ham band, set them up so they work on the hand.
For the ham band.
You
Yep.
can't do much inside these chips.
No.
They have two little antennas in there for 120 gigs.
And for size comparison, that's the end of a biro.
Yeah. Now, to couple out of those, there are two horns that are available.
Okay.
This one's a high gain horn, like 20 or 30 dB.
So if we look down the throat of that,
Yes.
so there's a
And you can see the waveguide, the circular waveguide, although it's linear polarization, and how the signal's going to get down there.
down that little. Now let's zoom out here. So,
Yeah.
and for scale, that's the end of the biro again.
Yeah. Now that screws onto the board around the chip. That's why the 4 holes around the chip are.
Yep.
With little 2mm volts.
So that in effect goes on top of there.
That goes there. Or if you want to feed a dish, like a 600mm dish, offset dish, you use a Chaparral Feed, which looks like this. Put it on its angle so people can see. Yeah.
There's
Okay.
a little adjustment screw there.
Yes.
So this horn feeds in and out.
Yes.
Same mounting arrangement, Rex?
Same mounting arrangement. Now, just how the signal gets from two antennas out that little hole is an interesting question, but apparently it only costs about 1 or 2 dB for
Yeah.
the
Coupling loss.
coupling loss.
Yep.
And it avoids having to mechanically move between the two antennas.
Yeah. Yep. So that heads on that goes on there in
Yeah.
the same way with the 4 screws.
So,
Wow.
now, at this point in time, all I have been done is set up 2 of these things and transmit it across a room
Yep.
by about a total of 4 meters.
We are talking 122 gigahertz.
Yes. And I used at one end the Chaparral feed, which is the broadband feed, so I didn't have to point it accurately.
All right.
And the other end, I just used the antenna, the chip,
The chip. Yeah. Okay.
with its own antenna there.
Okay.
And the results.
Yep.
On,
Oh, we're on here. Hang on. We'll just get. Okay. Now, let me go to here and whiz this across to. Oh, hang on. That was not the right thing. Why isn't that going across there? Oh, that's because. That's because. Just bear with me. Sorry about this. We've just got a photo here. Ah, that's better.
Okay.
Now, if we go across to here, and what are we looking at here, Rex?
Well, we're just looking at a carrier at 122 gigs. It's actually keyed. I haven't yet worked out how to have a single carrier. A bit more research required.
Okay.
But it's keyed fairly rapidly, and you can see, well, you can actually see the keying on and off, and
Yep.
it sends VK3CV or something.
That's a broken line, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
But the important thing is, in its raw state, it's drifting in and out. The horizontal line's about 2 minutes, and it's drifting over 1 kilohertz in 2 minutes,
Okay.
which means it's going to have its limitations. Although I have been watching the website, and some Americans reckon for FM
That's okay.
that's okay.
Kilohertz. Yeah,
Well,
okay.
I say this because I can believe this, because I notice on the 1296 meg net,
Yep.
we have stations who are up to 3 kilohertz off, and you don't really
You realise they're off.
off.
Yeah, okay.
So if this is drifting around the centre frequency by 2 kilohertz, probably still okay.
And we are talking about 2 kilohertz at 122 gigahertz, so yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you blow on it, it rapidly goes off the screen.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Now, in the original 3CV design, he provided a way of using a GPS 1 pulse per second
Right.
to sort of GPS lock it.
Okay.
And I haven't actually done that yet. It's possibly a step I should go through,
Right.
but when you read all the people's comments, it seems that you're much better off to lock it to a proper 10 meg GPS DO source.
Yep.
And so I'll probably go that way.
Okay.
The problem is you have to start removing and adding 2 or 3 SM80603 components, and I haven't been brave enough to do that yet. The first delay was I don't actually have 603 components in my junk box.
Okay.
So I got onto the web, and believe it or not, for $40 US you can buy every 603 component that ever existed, and 25 each of them,
I love it.
and that includes capacitors as well.
And resistors.
Yeah. So I think I've now got enough equipment to
correct.
to modify my boards.
Just, I'll just put this under the because 603, for those who aren't used to 603 603 components. There we go.
They're small.
There's me biro again. That's let's zoom in here. Let's zoom in as far as we can go, and then for reference,
That's the head of the biro. Yes.
that's the head of a biro. So that's pretty impressive, Rex. That's very impressive. 603 scares me a bit. But
Now,
anyway.
my only problem in embarking on this modification is there's been a fair bit of discussion on the website about different ways of doing it,
Okay.
and one problem that appears to be an issue is it's already got a TCXO at 10 megs in it,
Oh, okay.
and some people have had problems with it beating the good.
With the GPS disciplined one.
Yes.
Why don't they just run it off the GPS disciplined one?
Apparently there's the problem of how you connect to some of these things.
Ah, okay. This is the size thing again.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just watching this debate before I make a rash move.
Right. Okay.
So I can't report having made too much progress beyond an unstabilised transmission across a room.
Okay.
However, in the interim I have been working on the dish, which we will go to next.
Correct. Now, what I might get you to do is actually just put that down on there somewhere, and we'll just sit the dish here. That's probably the easiest.
Right.
And then I can zoom in on it with the zoom in camera. Yeah, that'll do. That's good. You're right. Okay, now.
Ooh, scratching that.
No, that's all right. That's okay. So what are we looking at, Rex? Here?
Okay, if I just point that around, this is a standard.
You could put it down so that it's
No, but that'll scratch that.
No, that's all right. That's okay. Just put it down so that you just have to balance it. That's right, because we can. I can come down with the camera here.
I was wanting a wide scale first,
Oh,
so
okay.
that you can see. So this is a standard TV,
Yep.
60 centimetre offset dish.
Yep.
And while they don't look like mirrors, there are mirrors.
Yep.
Which for some reason all look black. I don't know why they.
Oh
do.
no, that's because it's probably pointed down at something that's black.
Okay.
That's all right. Yep.
Now I've been using those mirrors to try and find the focal point, and that's not as successful as I thought it would be.
Yeah, and actually I can attest to that, because when I did the same thing with mine, they all, most of them point to the same place, but there's a lot that don't.
Yes.
So I put that down to the fact that the double-sided sticky on the back was probably not actually parallel, but that's another story.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think now I've actually got two types of reflectors. One is provided by Richard's wife,
Okay, yes.
which is a sort of
A craft,
a craft aluminium thing.
okay.
They're more diffuse, but they do mould to the surface more accurately.
Okay.
And the others are mirrors, which come out of little dental mirrors.
Yep, okay.
The dental mirrors cost you $6, but you spend a fair bit of time cutting them out.
Right. Okay.
I did have some smaller mirrors that are more accurate, but if you have a small mirror, the chance that it will actually line up flat is less.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Now, given that I was expecting this all to be focused on a little feed that's only about 5 mils across
in diameter, yep.
I was a bit disappointed because all my energy from the different mirrors is probably spread over plus or minus 20 mils.
That's what I found.
So at the moment the best I can do is say where is the most intense light intensity.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And say that's probably where it is.
Yep. Good starting place.
Yeah. Now we'll look down a little bit lower.
Okay.
A bit lower still.
Yep. And we can zoom in there.
Oh no, I have to tilt this up. You'll see underneath there
Yes.
is at the moment there's a bit of welding glass.
Yep.
And if I take that off,
You're right.
that's a rifle scope.
Yep.
And this is for alignment. Now that welding goggle is when you align it on the sun,
Yep.
so that you can make sure you're actually pointing at the sun and try and find a point where you're optimizing the amount of sunlight that's scattered back into where the feed would be.
Yep.
And the feed is...
No, that's all right. Hang on.
The feed will be mounted in this little die-cast box.
Yep.
And this die-cast box is on a 3-axis micrometer adjustable
Table.
which allows right, left, up, down, in, out. I originally got this. I got it off eBay for about $150,
Okay.
thinking that this might be important to focus it. But given that I'm not sure that the dish is capable of that sort of resolution, it's probably not necessary. But it will be interesting to see
Well and truly.
how useful that is. I guess that's as far as I've gone at this point in time.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
I mean, this is all based on what I do at 10 and 24 gigs using rifle scopes and calibrating on the sun and
Yep.
and so forth.
So what's the sun noise at 122 gigahertz?
Well, I noticed someone asked a question, what sun noise are people measuring at 122 gigs, and nobody answered it.
So nobody's done it now.
I think that's the answer. Nobody's actually measured any sun noise.
Right. Okay.
The receiver does have a preamp in front of it at 127 gigs
Wow.
with a quoted noise figure of about 7 dB.
Okay.
7 dB is going to be, I think, pretty... is going to swamp probably like...
The noise, the sun noise.
It's going to depend on what gain you really get. But see, even if you get a lot of gain, the sun itself is not a point source, so you can't take advantage of all that. And
Okay.
like at 10 gigs on a 60 centimetre dish, I get about 4.5 dB sun noise.
Yep.
There should be more gain in this case, but I've got 7 dB of noise
To start with.
to start with. So I'm not sure that we're going to measure sun noise
Okay.
on this, but that'll be one
Which
interesting
might be a
thing.
challenge, because how do we then calibrate and align things
Well,
with another another 122 gig point source?
I think that's right,
Okay.
and I worked it out. It's got to be at least 300 metres away to be out of the far field, in the far field.
Oh well, that horn would be probably okay for that sort of.
Oh yes, but
Yeah.
the problem is how to get 300 metres away and not get ground reflections. You sort of need,
Yeah. Okay.
because neither the horn or the is that the horn's not that narrow in beam width. So I think there's still a lot to learn.
Oh yeah. Well and truly. Just put that on the table so you're not piercing your.
I feel as if I'm going to
No,
put it on the
that's
table.
right. That's right. Just put it on the table. That's okay. That's okay.
This is all designed to go in the same mounting place as my 10 gig.
Oh, on the telescope mount.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Well, the fork, the homemade fork one.
Yeah. Okay.
But the telescope was the first version. But
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the and I showed this earlier. This was back in the third quarter of 2019 when 3CV came out with the design, and it was a fairly groundbreaking article.
Oh, absolutely.
For 122 gig, that was accessible.
Yeah.
It was actually accessible and came as a kit, heaven forbid. So that was definitely a sort of a bleeding edge, lead the way type type arrangement. And again, 3CV uses an offset feed dish with a similar arrangement to what Rex has just shown us. So then there was this is and that was the picture I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's Andrew there on the edge of. Let me go to here and then over to here. So let me. What did I do just then? Because that didn't work. That's better. That's much better. That's Andrew there operating at near HMAS Cerberus on the Mornington Peninsula, isn't it? Mornington Peninsula.
Yes.
Across Port Phillip Bay with his 122 setup. So Cerberus Car Park, Black Rock, Victoria. So not sure that that's accessible at this point in time, but so let's go back here.
Cost you 2 weeks quarantine if you go there.
Correct. So we then became aware that there was a VK5 group who was also doing some experiments in this space. And I'll just actually I'll go back a step here. The VK3CV is really only good for what, FM?
In its raw form, but they all people have used it on
digital,
on what they call quick and dirty digital, but they've decoded JT4 on it.
Okay, so that was,
and there's a big debate going on at the moment where Andy Talbot is contributing. He's the guy who coded up the 10 gig beacon.
Okay.
And he thinks there are ways of doing it.
Okay. So we might see some firmware upgrades and bits and pieces, maybe. Okay. So that was and so the VK5s, as far as I understand, had a bit of a bit of a design objective to enable the 122 gig, and it uses a slightly different chip, similar arrangement. I'll just go back to. You can actually see this is actually just come out in DUBUS magazine for the second quarter 2020, and it's David Mitchin, VK5KK. This is his design, and you can actually see here, if I zoom in, you can actually see the antennas on the front of that chip, the transmit and receive antennas, little panel antennas.
Yes.
Little phased panel antennas. So it must be a, I don't know, a translucent window on the chip. But you can actually see that they're quite a distance apart, and it's quite a bit bigger chip than what's in 3CVs. If we do a bit of a comparison, there's the chip there, which is quite small. The distance between those holes is about a centimetre, about 10 mil.
Yeah,
I reckon. So there's 10 mil between there, whereas in this particular, that chip would be probably at least 10 mil across in the actual chip form factor. So it's quite a bit bigger. And if we zoom back out again here, you'll notice that there is something that looks very similar to a microboard computer, an Arduino or the like, which is exactly what it is. So the control has been pulled out to a separate board. That's a daughter board, so that it plugs into the 40-pin connector on the top of the chip. But one of the things about this is it can run some WSJT modes, which is actually built into the microchip, the microcomputer on the top. So the little one board Arduino board there. So this kit is about to start being shipped. So we're talking about probably the end of July, according to David. And there's a couple on there going to wend their way to VK7. But one of the key things and one of the key differences that they're trying to work on here is, given that those antennas are actually so far apart, and they're not above each other. They actually, if you had some mechanical device that moved your horn to one or the other on a transmit-receive cycle, it has to move actually quite a distance. So they're working on ways of actually doing that. The reason that there is this form factor of the round PCB here is it is designed to go into a offset feed dish mount, and you can see the mount here. That's for those who play with offset feed dishes, that's the feed mount. So it actually goes into a 40mm tube, and the electronics slides inside that 40mm tube. So yeah, it's a slightly different way of doing it, slightly different design out of VK5, but it'll be interesting, be very interesting to do the comparison between the two of them. So and that's literally only just come out. In fact, Rex hasn't got his yet. I was lucky enough to receive mine a couple of days ago. So we're waiting on with bated breath on David Minchin basically saying that it's ready to go, and we'll pay the big bucks and get the kit sent to us. So that's and the really remarkable thing that I think needs to be emphasised here is most of this development is going on in Australia.
Absolutely, yeah.
There is.
I mean, there's an American, forgotten his name now, who's working very closely with 3CV.
Yeah,
and probably
okay,
contributing almost as much. And,
yeah.
And he actually got other systems working before 3CV.
Okay. But I'm blown away by this. So this is now the other thing I just wanted to explore here is 122 gigs is if you have a look at the absorption curve up in that sort of frequency range, 122 gigs is not good.
That's why amateurs are allowed to have it.
Yeah, because all of the scientists didn't want it, and others didn't want it because it was all.
And probably it's good for radar because it's such short range that the absorption is negligible.
For
vehicles.
You're bouncing something off a car in front of you.
That's 20 metres away at the most.
Yep. Oh, and here we go. We've got Ken VK7DY on the chat channel, and we've also got Tim Dixon. Good evening, Tim VK5ZT. Who I think's involved with some experimentation in with David and co. I think. Anyway, you can let us know, Tim. So anyway, that's 122 gigs, and this is yet another aspect of this hobby. That's keeping us away from optical, from 10 gigs, from 24 gigs.
No, optical's sort of taken over from this at the moment.
Yeah, okay. So maybe that's another talk that we can maybe do a little bit later with Rex on once he's worked out what's going on.
I might not be on this earth by the time that happens.
Oh, very good. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Rex.
Okay, I'll get out of the way.
That's excellent. I'll let you No, that's all right. Oh. We'll bring you back, Rex, in a sec, once you put that somewhere.
Oh, I'll just put it down here. Okay.
All right, I think that was Vince. Go ahead, Vince. Or go ahead, whoever it was.
VK7 Victor Hotel. Hello Rex, hello Justin. What a great presentation. You're a stalwart, Rex. C603 puts a new spin on components. My last visit to a C603 was a valve, a triode circa World War One. Anyway, mate, I got a couple of questions. And I'm watching via RF, of course, on 70 centimetres. The first question is, what are the distance records in Australia for 122 gigahertz, and maybe the worldwide distance record for 122 gigahertz? And I was wondering about...
Oh. You just dropped out, Vince.
I just had a problem with my handheld. I was wondering about the data flow rate. What is the data flow rate between a transmitter and a receiver? Over.
Hi Vince, it's Rex. I actually don't have the answers to your questions, but I think Andrew 3CV did something like 80 kilometres.
I'm just trying to
He
find it.
might have done longer than that. And I think the Americans might have done about 180.
Yeah.
Cool.
So first off, it was 19 kilometres in good conditions with more than 30 dB of margin. Then went out to 59 kilometres. You're probably not going to break any world record distances with this gear, but we're expecting to be able to push the range out to somewhere above 80 kilometres in ideal conditions.
Right. Okay. Data flow rate. Now those contacts, I believe, were done with FM, which means, audio type data rates.
Yep.
Which is better than 1 bit per second,
Correct.
which you normally use. I mean, there's someone actually watching here who uses 81 gigs commercially and will tell us what data rates they get.
We could easily get 10 gigabits per second at 80 gigs, but
Yes.
using a very wide channel.
Yeah.
I actually had a question, which was, can the VK3CV and the VK5KK stuff talk to each other, or are they two different? Like, will they both talk? You mentioned that the VK3 stuff was FM only, but you didn't actually talk about the other stuff. Is it FM capable, or?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Okay.
But there would be no reason why.
Well, I mean, obviously
not.
they both do FM. That would be fine.
Yeah, and if they were both locked, so you could actually find each other.
That's-
I have no doubt that probably would. FM's FM.
No,
So-
but you didn't mention. I didn't know whether the VK5 one would actually do FM or whether it was different mode, because you mentioned about the VK3 being FM and you didn't really.
I mean, the way they do the FM is they put an electret microphone in series with the correction voltage for the oscillator.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you don't actually use your radio for transmission, like your IF radio. You use it for reception.
Yeah.
okay.
And that's the reason why it's then difficult to do things like the digital modes, because you're having to modulate it at. You can't just stick a signal into the chip and modulate what goes out.
Now I suspect, but I don't know, that the 5KK version might actually come out you might actually transmit on your IF radio.
Yeah.
In which case, that opens up all the other modes. I think.
Question answered.
No, well and truly. And see, because David talks about the receiver IQ IF circuitry. So
But that's receiver. He doesn't talk about transmitter.
hang on. No, there isn't a separate section for it. So
Yeah. So
Because
it
the
might be
TX
it might be the same thing where you just modulate the oscillator.
and see, it's only a VCO for the transmit chain.
Yeah.
So yes, you're modulating that.
Yeah. Again.
So
Uh,
anyway, that's. But excellent question as to whether you could talk between the two of them. I assume you can.
apparently, you can actually run two of them in duplex, because the transmitter is in fact the local oscillator for the receiver.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
And one of you will be transmitting on the IF frequency different to the other.
To the other. Yeah.
And you can run the whole thing
Full duplex.
full duplex.
I love it.
But so, did we answer Vince's questions as best we can? Good.
How's that, Vince? I'll throw back over to you. Go ahead. After an encoding delay.
Fine, but a little undefined. I was really interested in the data flow rate. But anyway, gosh, that's pretty exciting stuff. And forge ahead, Rex. Great stuff. Over.
Very good. Thank you, Vince. Any other questions from either our streaming channel or our R2, or I'll put out a. This is VK7OTC at our DATV Experimenters Night on 3807. Any questions relating to 122 gigs for Rex? Over.
VK7OTC, VK7RO. Just listening with interest, Justin. I'm just backing away from my telly with the feedback. Okay, yeah, interesting presentation.
Very good, Steve. Good stuff. We got a bit more to go. But if there's no more questions for Rex, thank you very much, Rex.
Okay.
And look forward to the next update. Oh, very good. Very good indeed. What we will do, we'll get that back over here. Oh, was that somebody else? No. Okay. So there's a few things I wanted to just go into. I'll go to the close-up camera here. Thanks, Ken, VK7DY. I saw you on the chat channel there, so thank you for calling in. Good stuff. Again, actually, I didn't remind people they can call in on R2 on 3807 DMR or on the YouTube chat channel. So if you've got a question or you want to ask something, please come through on one or other of those. Now, I managed to receive in a box of stuff of junk that came through. One of these quite nice. They're actually quite a nice and quite an expensive multimeter, auto ranging multimeter, a Hoikey 3803, which is about 11 years old. Still quite a good multimeter, but I noticed when I started the multimeter up, it wasn't measuring voltage. It seemed to be measuring resistance and also current okay, but voltage was way down in the microvolts and the millivolts area, and I thought, oh, okay, so this something's gone a bit awry, or maybe there's a fuse blown or something along these lines. Well, when I took the thing apart and had a bit of a look, if I zoom in here, there was the first thing I noticed was there was a very cooked resistor, which had just here, it's about a 5 or 6 watt resistor in here that had a heat shrink over it, so it's got a bit of high voltage protection over it. And then there was one of these devices, one of these grey boxes just here as well. You can see it's missing here. That had a burnt hole in the side of it. This resistor was cooked. It had a burnt hole in the side of it and was certainly not reading any sort of voltage at all. So as you do, you go to your Google is your friend, and you go off and find out whether you can get a circuit diagram and find out what these components were, which I was unsuccessful with. So I then went to one of the Facebook pages that I'm on around vintage equipment, and asked whether anybody had one of these multimeters and they could measure this resistor for me and give me a bit of information. Well, as it turns out, lots of advice, but no one had this particular multimeter. But a couple of weeks later, somebody did have one of these multimeters and was able to measure this resistor for me in a working multimeter, which was 100 ohms. So that was a step in the right direction. Then I noticed that these little grey things are actually covers, and when I took the cover off, there was a component label on the side, and these are actually gas discharge tubes that discharge at about 1200 volts. So these are voltage protection devices in the multimeter. I then managed to find, somebody else posted on a Thai electronics mailing list, would you believe, a multimeter of the same sort with exactly the same failure, and with a comment that they had tried to measure the voltage on a high pot tester, and the multimeter had gone up in smoke. So then I knew exactly what was going on here. There was basically a voltage way too high for the multimeter, which basically flashed over the gas discharge tube, and in flashing over the gas discharge tube, I would say there was a fair bit of current behind it as well, and basically cooked this resistor. So anyway, I replaced the resistor. I've got a 5 watt resistor coming, and I've got a gas discharge tube coming. So I took the gas discharge tube out to make sure that it wasn't affecting put the 100 ohm resistor in here, and it still didn't work. So anyway, a bit of investigation with another multimeter, and I found that the voltage coming in goes through that resistor, through past a gas discharge tube, and up to this series of resistors here. And these resistors are all 2 megohm resistors, and this is your voltage divider chain that goes all the way up to the sampler, which is at the very end. So this enables you to measure up to 1000 volts by dividing down that voltage. And I went along here, and this was fine. The voltage dropped across this resistor, got to this resistor, and you'll notice that there are 2 little surface mount resistors in here, 2 1 megohm resistors, and got to this side, and that resistor was actually open circuit. So anyway, replace this, and it I now have a perfectly working multimeter. I did a bit of a calculation, a bit of a calibration with my fluke there's some adjustment pots on the back here that you can adjust the voltage and the current readings on here, which I did, and we now have a working multimeter once that replacement resistor and replacement gas discharge tube appears. So that was a little bit of a saga, but also a bit of a testament to the fact that you can, with a little bit of help from the internet, you can actually end up fixing these. And I have quite a nice little multimeter now that'll go in the kit, and it can go from there. So, Steve, I think you had a question.
No, I do have some 100 ohm non-inductive 5 watt resistors.
Oh, Roger. Okay. Oh well, I'll have a chat with you. Have a chat with you afterwards. So, thank you very much. Very good. So I'll just wait for the gas discharge tube to appear. They're very interesting devices, the gas discharge tubes, because they just look like little polyester capacitors that have a slot down the middle of them, and the hole that was blown in the side of the case obviously comes out of the slot. So yeah. But it's a protection device, and it's obvious that this multimeter was put across a way too high voltage for the spec of the meter. So yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of a multimeter story, bit of a multimeter replacement story that I thought I'd share with people. And thanks to all of those people on the lists that I was on who put in their 5 cents worth, and also to the Polish guy Jersey who actually had one of these meters who measured the value for me. So I'm indebted to him to find out that. I did contact the company, just so that you know. I did contact the company and ask them whether they could tell me the values of those components or give me a circuit diagram. And they very nicely said no, but here's our new range of multimeters, and we suggest you probably upgrade. So, so I went, thank you very much. Now, reminder, this coming weekend, on the 17th of July, is the Trans-Tasman low band contest. It is across Trans-Tasman. It's VK across the Dutch to ZL on 160, 80 and 40 metres, SSB, CW and RITI or PSK for the digital modes. It runs on Saturday night from the 18th of July at 800 Zulu, which is 6 o'clock, and goes through until I think midnight or 1 o'clock. It's one or the other. It's made up of 3 individual, so it must be it's midnight because it's 3 2-hour blocks. The interesting thing about the 2-hour blocks is it's not rework every 2 hours. It can rework in any of those blocks, so you can get to the end of one of the blocks and contact somebody and then recontact them when it goes into the next block. So that's a bit of a difference. VK7MO and N1MM, both of those loggers support this particular contest, so that takes care of those the timing between the blocks. The digital is thank you. The digital is RTTY and PSK only. It's CW or SSB. And just a reminder here, the 80 metre digital section is 3570 to 3600. So operation in the SSB voice stations in the 80 metre digital section is not in the spirit of the contest. The contest caters for single or multi-operator stations. For multiple op stations, please refer to the current state COVID-19 guidelines. So you need to bear them in mind. And logs are due within 1 week of the closure of the contest. So once you finish the contest, I know VK7CL, it is really easy if you're happy with your log, really easy to then export that log and forward it in. Logs must be in Cabrillo 3, and this is a submission file produced by both VKCL and the N1, so November 1 Mike loggers. And the full rules are available on the WIA website at contests Trans-Tasman. So there you go. Now, just a reminder of what's coming up. Because we've transformed back into our sort of normal DATV nights, what we're actually doing is once a month we will have an interview with a notable amateur in VK7, or maybe outside of VK7, but we'll have an interview with a notable amateur. And our next one, which will be once a month, and our next one, which is on the 12th of August, is with Cedric VK7 Charlie Lima. So, and Cedric's opted to actually come into the studio, so long as we don't go backwards. So on the 12th of August, we'll have, and once a month after that, every month after that, we'll have an interview with a notable amateur, and very similar format to what you saw during the lockdown period, where we actually ask questions on how people got into amateur radio and a bit of a history and what their inspirations and who their almas were and all of that sort of stuff. So there you go. And we've got Warren VK7 Whiskey November, who's watching via RF in the club rooms with 6 others. So good presentation, thank you. And Larry VK7 WLH says hello and good show. Thanks, Larry, from down at Blackman's Bay. So good stuff. So Cedric's on the 12th of August. Now I've got a bit of other stuff that's going on within the club, and a huge thank you. We've put this on the broadcast as well. Huge thank you to Paul Pruss, VK7 FPCL, who is our club rooms officer, who is keeping us safe and sanitising the club rooms between meetings in the afternoon and the evenings. So thank you, Paul. Very much appreciated. And the next phase of our club rooms renovations is about to happen this Saturday, so the 18th of July, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're looking for a merry band of helpers who can come along and help us unbolt, unscrew, move all sorts of bits and pieces over that period of time, the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. next Saturday. And we will be providing a free lunch, so a yummy lunch to go along with it. So there's a bit of an incentive. Can you please let Tony, our secretary, VK7VKT, know? And if you can bring along a cordless drill or a ladder or something like that, then please let us know so that we can know what's going to be available. But we're clearing out the club rooms so that we can then go through and start the redecorating and the painting and everything else that's got to go on. So and that'll go on the week following that weekend, and we're hoping to have it all ready and sparkling for the Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night group for the next Wednesday night. So. It's all happening up here at the club rooms, and I saw a wonderful panel. Just hang on. I've locked myself here.
Here's the memory stick.
The memory stick.
Thank you.
Cool. No problems. That's actually a bit of a safety issue that just locked that door. But anyway, so there's lots of stuff going on, and I did see an LED panel, replacement panel that we just we tested earlier to see whether there was any issue with RF on the HF and VHF UHF bands, and there doesn't appear to be. So that's excellent. So the dear old fluoros will be replaced by LED panels. So that's our ATV night for tonight, and we've got for our RF viewers some videos for our Antarctic people. There is a tour of the Amundsen Scott South Pole, the US South Pole, station. That's the first one. There's another one called The Logistics of Living in Antarctica, which is fascinating. And then there is a couple of IC705 videos. Now that the IC705 is starting to appear in different places in Japan and the US and a few other places, I have actually put my my order in for mine. So you'll see it when it arrives. We'll do a bit of a show on the IC705. And I think that's probably where we're going to get to tonight. So we'll call it quits at that. But that's for our RF viewers. So and a word from our sponsor there. So we'll just put out a last call. If there's any other people who want to put in a comment or a question on R2 on 3807 or via the YouTube chat channel, please do so, and I'll do a little bit of a review of that. So any questions or final comments, please go ahead. Oh, can't spell. Okay.
Victor Hotel. Thanks again, Justin. What a great show. Thank you.
Thanks, Vince. No problems at all. Cool. That's very good. I'll just put out a call on 3807. This is VK7OTC. Any final comments or call or questions for tonight? It's DATV Experimenters Night. Over. No, nothing. Cool. All right, we'll bid everybody adieu. And 73. Stay safe, especially to our if we have any VK3 watchers on our channel. Please stay safe. We are thinking about you, and we're very glad that we're not in that situation, but we could so easily be in that situation. That's one of the things. So yeah. And a reminder to people as well, just a final reminder, the WIA AGM is being held online, is a hybrid, going to be a hybrid meeting on the 25th of July. So just a reminder that that's going to be a fully online affair now that VK3, it was going to be a possibly a hybrid affair at the Bayswater offices, but that's no longer going to happen given the circumstances in VK3. So anyway, that's a reminder. So 73, and stay safe, and we'll catch you next time. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. Cheers.